Just to be able to answer some questions, to be able to talk through narcissistic personality disorder, to deal with the abuse, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the lies that's happening inside of everything that's going on inside of your world that's confusing, that's frustrating, and that's leaving you stuck. Many women that are trapped in toxic relationships don't realize what they are, abuse and manipulation, don't realize the effect that it's having on their mental, emotional, physical, all of different health aspects, and as a result, will develop what's called a trauma bond. This piece that ends up being a mental, emotional, a psychological, a feeling of almost like a visceral addiction back to another person that is toxic. Oftentimes they'll look like or appear or feel like going crazy, like Stockholm Syndrome, where you fall in love with your abuser. This aspect keeps happening more and more with people who are in toxic relationships because even though they know logically that they don't want this person, that this person is bad for them, that it's hurting them, emotionally, the head and the heart are disconnected. And it still produces this withdrawal-like symptoms whenever they leave or get out of the toxic relationship that sucks them back in. And oftentimes it'll leave them stuck, cycling and oscillating back to a toxic person over and over and over again. So on this channel, part of what I do is just share some of my story, share some of the things that I've done, how I've shown up, how I've been the toxic, narcissistic person, and as a result, being able to try to give you what he's thinking and to be able to help connect your head to heart so you can actually be free, mentally and emotionally, from the guy that you're currently with that is currently manipulating and abusing you. Oftentimes you trade what you want in your life to be in prison with this guy, where he leaves you trapped with his own lies, with his own confusion, with his own chaos that makes you feel crazy and confused just enough so that you don't leave, so that you stay stuck with him. So we're jumping on here tonight to be able to answer some questions, to be able to deal with the relationship that you're in, deal with questions inside the healing space, trying to figure out what to do next, how do you move forward. So inside of this, we want to be able to jump in here to answer questions and help you. So drop any questions you have down below inside the chat. Keep it helpful. Keep it moving towards the healing space. Since sometimes in the evenings, we'll get just a bunch of spammers that don't really care about healing. They just care about hurting. So inside of this, jump in, ask any questions, drop any questions down below. A lot of times people are trying to be able to figure out like what's happening and what's going on with the relationship. And they're wondering, is the guy that I'm with, is he a narcissist? Is he not a narcissist? We can go through the DSM-5 and you can see all the diagnostic traits. And I've got a couple of videos of those that are longer in dealing with what are the 9 diagnostic traits. You have to have at least 5 of them to be considered diagnosable and a prevalent pattern over a period of years. But inside of that, what I want you to think of just for a moment is just think out of that box. What if you didn't need the label? What if you didn't need the label to determine and decide that leaving this relationship was what you needed to do? What if you could actually see and understand and determine that simply by the facts, by the demonstration, by the abuse that you're continuing to accept over and over and over again versus a label that would justify you leaving, but right now you're staying even though you know it's a toxic relationship. Even though you know that it's manipulation, that it's abuse, that it's gaslighting, there's a piece of you that's figuring out and finding all the labels for it already. But for some of you, you've known all the labels, you figured it out, and you've got your degree in narcissism. But the problem is it still hasn't pushed you to a place of actually doing something about it. Because doing something about it seems scary, seems crazy. There's a lot of fear that's wrapped up in the unknown. So inside of all this, we're here to be able to answer questions. Drop your questions down below. I'll answer them as quick as possible. I'll try not to skip any or miss any unless I get super behind. But the goal inside here is to give you clarity about what's actually happening. My narcissistic boyfriend just discarded me. Why can't he be like you? I still love him. What can I do? What can he do to become like you? So inside of this, if he's not willing to be honest with himself, he's not willing to own up to the things that are actually going on in his world, he's not going to be like me. You need to understand this. Like the only reason that my wife is with me is because I transformed. I owned my mistakes. I became honest. I showed up consistent and I started to shift how I was showing up. She came back to be able to get close. She didn't come back to be with me. She came back to get close and noticed that there was a difference in how I showed up and noticed there was a difference in how I was communicating. Noticed there was a difference in how I was actually working through problems. So she's like, I'll give it a week. Then she gave it another week. And then we started seeing shifts and changes, not just inside of me, but inside a relationship dynamic. Why does the ex-narcissist hate you? He has to hate you so that he doesn't hate himself. Because underneath all of it, he hates himself and he doesn't want to admit who he actually is. That's why a narcissist has a mask, has a version of him that he projects and proclaims to the world that he's just a good guy. While underneath, he knows that he's not. So he has to find someone else to hate to be able to put all of his energy and effort into someone so that at least it's not hurting him. No contact for 5 weeks. He sent me a gift for our son and me. I went no contact because of the verbal abuse. He pulled me in and I contacted him. He would not respond. Why? Because he got his supply at that moment and he won. He pulled you in and he got you to contact him. So he was like, oh, she still wants me. She still likes me. Like that was his kind of like hit of like, oh, I still got what I wanted. I still pushed a button and I got a response. Now he pulls back because he's baited you into taking the bait into responding. We just had a video that came out just today that was about narcissists baiting you. Right? Sometimes they'll do little things like that to try to get at you, to try to trigger you, just to get a response. Because when that response happens, it shows him that he's still in control over you. Cody, thanks so much. Appreciate it. My narcissist ex created issues and blamed me, calling me immature and to never talk to him again, followed by blocking me. Is this the final discard? It could be. The final discard ends up being when you make it the final discard. Because even if he blocked you, he could unblock you and walk back into your life. The question is, would you accept him at this point? Sometimes if people haven't healed all the way, they would accept the toxic person back in just to feel less chaos, just to feel less anxiety, just to feel less stress and get that hit off of connecting back with a person that's made them feel like an addict to another person. So the final discard is when you decide that it's the final one. It's when you decide that you've healed and you become indifferent. So that even if you walk back into your life, you're like, it doesn't really connect, doesn't really matter. My dad was a narcissist. He is dead. I still feel attached and catch myself grieving the version of him he faked. Ruth, that's a big piece of it. A lot of times you'll find people that are going to be grieving a person that feels like physically or emotionally feels dead, right? Because there's a piece of it that goes back to a story that you were sold that you believe. And that's okay because you're duped into believing it. Duped into a piece of like, hey, this is happening and this is going on in my life. And that was what you loved. That was what felt good. So inside of it, part of it is grieving. Part of it is also having to have radical acceptance, having to accept what actually happened, having to accept who he actually was based on the facts, not based on the feelings, because the feelings are going to lie to you in the moment, based on the facts. Why my boyfriend discarded me after I gave him a second chance after breaking up once. He apologized and said he won't do it again, but he did it. So it sounds like he wasn't emotionally secure enough to actually not do it again. And it sounds like a piece inside of it that he wasn't willing to continue. Then inside of this, even if you gave him a second chance, it doesn't matter because it's not about what you give him. You see, you could give a person millions of second chances, but if they keep abusing that or if they keep doing the other thing, like doing what you don't want them to do, that's not on you. And that doesn't mean that you're not good enough, that you're not value. And what that means is he's not willing to actually make those shifts and changes. He's blocked me before and came back. This is the second time, felt fine on his end, which is fine. So you have to understand, like, he's already done it once. It's easy for him to do it again. That's why the blocking piece, like, that doesn't mean it's the final discard. The final discard is when he no longer has access to you and you've moved on. I would highly encourage you to reach out. You can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, or later after this live, just drop in breakthrough, because if you drop it in now, I won't miss it. But you can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, just to be able to book a free call for us to be able to sit down and actually walk through some of the details of what's happening in your current world and to be able to help you move forward. How do you help yourself truly realize that he is not the person I fell in love with? So fuel up, part of it with this is we have to be able to, one easy way is to be able to sit down with a piece of paper and write out 25 things that this person did to you. Like, write these things down so that you actually start facing the facts. Because a big piece inside of this is avoidance of the facts. It doesn't mean that they're not there. It just means a lot of times people are not willing to see the facts because they'd rather sit in the feelings than they would the facts. I'm all about helping a person process the feelings, but it has to come in the right order. Too many times people will dictate and rule their life by their feelings dictating their facts, versus the facts being what they are, just simply facts, and then the feelings coming off of those. So inside of this, you have to go back to this piece of breaking down the image that you have, the feelings that have actually promoted this story and this mask that he built and that you believed, which means you're taking apart, you're disassembling one lie after another lie. You're disassembling one thought, one feeling. He overlapped 2 relationships for 2 years until both of his victims found out about it. He has contacted me a few times. What does he really want? He wants to have his cake and eat it too, and he'll keep doing it for as long as you allow him access to your life. They're very insecure people, 100%. Why do they rage when someone treats them the way that they treat others, as if they get a pass for acting a certain way? So they're very hypocritical. Like, I would always be very hypocritical in how I would act. Like, I could do something, but my wife couldn't. Or I could do something, and one of the affair partners, they couldn't, right? Because I had to have it a certain way. I was in control of the thing. Now, when we're dealing with rage, with narcissists, it goes in a quick cycle. I'll try to explain it really quick without being able to draw it out. You have a moment in time where there's a trigger that happens. Say I get called out, right? I get a piece of me that gets poked and prodded of like something that I did wrong. Well, immediately it puts me in a place of guilt. I did something bad. Now everybody's like, narcissists don't feel guilt. They feel guilt, but it's like microscopic because it's like, got to compartmentalize, got to push that to the side. I feel bad, okay? That's the guilt piece. Now, as soon as that hits guilt, then it goes immediately to shame, which is what a narcissist is always running from, shame avoidance. It goes from I feel bad, which is guilt, to I am bad, which is shame. I can't handle that. That's why I've already built a mask. That's why I've already put this out there so that I don't feel bad about myself. And now shame is getting exposed. That's the worst thing a narcissist can feel. So then guilt goes to shame. After shame, then the next logical thing is blame. That wasn't me. What are you talking about? I didn't do that. You didn't see that text message. It was this. You're crazy. You're over, like all this stuff, blaming the other person. And 2 things that happen here. Either one, the other person takes the blame, and the narcissist still doesn't feel better about himself simply because if I convince someone that they're to blame, I still know that I convinced them, right? The narcissist knows what he's doing. Don't pretend that he doesn't. The second thing is if the other person doesn't take the blame, I'm still left knowing that I'm the one to blame. So then it turns to rage because I will make sure that I put someone down, that I degrade them, that I devalue, making sure that they feel small so that I feel better. It's always back about the narcissist. It's always back about what he's thinking, what he's feeling, even if it means he has to hurt and abuse someone else so he feels better about himself. The thought isn't, how do I hurt and abuse someone else? The thought is, how do I keep myself safe from not being exposed with guilt and shame, even if that means hurting someone else, okay? Hope that makes sense. I met a narcissist whom I fell in love with. I could almost feel his heart in mine. He was straight. I know we could think each other's thoughts. I'm not a narcissist, or am I? That doesn't have anything to do with you being a narcissist or not. So narcissistic personality disorder goes off of the 9 diagnostic traits. How come you're able to change when every psychologist says we'll never change? How do you know for sure were a narcissist? You don't sound like one. I don't sound like one now. Yeah, that's because I'm not an abusive asshole now. But I was before for many years. My wife experienced it. 5 affairs experienced it. There's a lot of wreckage in the past and in my life of how I showed up. There's the diagnosis, yeah. There's over 5 years of therapy. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars in coaching, therapy, like programs, like things to be able to help me shift me, right? Inside of this, anyone can change. Anyone can transform, but it all comes down to their willingness to accept who they are. Deal with honesty. Be honest with themselves. This is why a narcissist typically won't change and typically won't transform, simply because he's not willing to be honest about the shit that's inside. This is why a lot of times people in the healing space, survivors, won't heal because they're unwilling to be honest about what's affected them. They're unwilling to be honest to actually work through the pain so it no longer affects them anymore. Honesty is the key inside of all this. If you don't have truth, you don't have transformation. He might try to come back when he figures out the new supply, 100%. Can you talk about stonewalling? Stonewalling, a lot of times you're going to have a narcissist that puts up this piece of like, hey, I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to give you the silent treatment. I'm going to act like a stone wall, right? Like it's this piece of like going against you where all of a sudden you're just like, why is he cold? Why is he distant, right? A big piece inside of this is trying to be able to put you on the offense and trying to make you think, what did you do wrong, right? It's like the silent treatment of like just not giving you answers. And so a lot of times you can get to the place where you feel crazy, where you just want to like shake the person and be like, why won't you listen? Why won't you get it? Right? And then he flips around at you. You feel like the crazy one. You feel like you're the one that's insane. A lot of this we work on inside of our programs and inside of our opportunity to be able to get you step-by-step clarity and confidence. If you want to know more about what I do, you can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. It's a quick video there that just describes a little bit of what I do, helping walk you through a healing journey and a growth mindset. You can fill out a quick application and then book a free call just so we can talk and see where you're at. Can avoidant personality type be confused for a covert narcissist? He ghosts, he hoovers, all the narcissist traits, but could one be on so high alert about a narcissist that he misreads the signs? So simply the answer, yes, he could be avoidant, he could be a narcissist. At the end of the day, I want you to think for just a moment, what if he's neither one and you're just accepting abuse from an asshole? The only reason I'm saying this is because sometimes people will focus too much on, well, if he's avoidant personality, then maybe I can get him to be aware. If he's avoidant personality, then maybe I can fix him. But that's still not your job. Your job is to heal, to grow, and develop, to transform your life. If he's unwilling to actually rise with you, that's on him. A piece of this, it could be either one. But a lot of narcissists are avoidant, 100%, because they're avoiding shame. Do you feel like this runs in families? Do you think this is from parenting? How do you help your kids? I think a lot of it comes from parenting. A lot of it comes from houses and families that have been split apart. A lot of it comes from dads that aren't leading, that aren't guiding their kids. How do you help your kids? Helping your kids is a place of providing emotional safe space so they can actually work on their emotions, deal with shame and guilt, so it doesn't produce these maladaptive traits long-term in their life simply because they know how to be able to process emotions, how to be able to work through it. My mom is a covert and bipolar. I had to go no contact with her for 3 years ago, but I do think I'm attracted to narcissists even as friends. Is that a thing? Jamie, 100%. A lot of times it shows that there's a piece that still needs to be healed, it still needs to be worked on because you're in a certain type of cycle, oftentimes based on even your upbringing and based on your family, right? So your mom oftentimes is going to leave an imprint on your life that is going to automatically have you have tendencies to go towards someone with narcissistic traits simply because it feels comfortable. It hasn't been something that's been rewired or gotten rid of in one sense in your mind to not be comfortable. This is why if we took you, like let's say if you're oscillating with toxic relationships, you go into toxic one, toxic one, toxic one. If I took you out of that and I put you in a 100% healthy relationship, a lot of times a person would just blow it up. Simply because it feels so foreign, it feels so weird. A lot of times we find someone who is trying to heal, but is still stuck in that cycle and hasn't healed it. If they just jump into a healthy relationship, they can literally just blow it up completely. Because freedom and peace feel really awkward and really disconcerting when you're used to the chaos. How do you get a narcissist to admit or at least feel bad for cheating? You can't force that. That's not something you can force on another person, okay? He's literally showing you that he did it and he literally doesn't care. Take that at face value. You're not going to be able to rewire his mindset and force him to be like thinking the same way. He doesn't think the same way. He doesn't operate the same way. His empathy doesn't connect the same way. It's not going to be something he's going to realize and he's going to want to see. My soon-to-be ex will never change, or if I have kids hate him and he won't change, it's all them, not him. Been sugarcoating info for him, though. The dogs and I were in a shelter. He's not getting the point this way and still has big things here at the house he wants. Keep sugarcoating. And no, I wouldn't sugarcoat anything. Just be honest and focus on you. Can a narcissist become so violent to the point of killing the girlfriend? 100%. I'd be careful. I wondered how my ex-husband was so horrible and abusive in his 10-year marriage. He's still awkward, but he's nice. New wife, wears the pants. Yeah, he's just hiding behind her. Can he fool a psych evaluation? Yeah, I've seen narcissists do that. If they say don't contact them and you don't, ending the cycle, does this upset them, assuming they want you to chase? A lot of times it can be upsetting for a narcissist because he wants you to chase. He wants to feel that like value in one sense from you. So with that, block, ghost, go no contact, focus on you. Married to a porn addict, narcissistic man. How do these two issues work together? Without him being able to work on the porn and actually get some of the addiction piece away, he'll never even admit that he's a narcissist. He'll never even work on it deeper, right? If he can't deal with the lying and with the piece inside of him that's addicted to it, like he won't be able to get deeper. A lot of times narcissists are addicts in different ways. It could be an addict of like a substance. It could be an addict of like pornography. It could be an addict of like a lot of different pieces of this. But inside of it, addicts a lot of times here are using it in ways to sedate oftentimes what's inside. He doesn't want to deal with the shame and guilt, so he's looking for external things to be able to build himself up and to fill the void inside. Do narcissists spend a lot of time thinking and planning how they're going to hurt their partners? Typically, no. You're not even a second thought. He's thinking about himself, and it's a knee-jerk reaction. Why does he act like every question is questioning him, like I'm accusing him of something? That's to train and condition you not to ask him questions. He reacts like he's allergic to questions. Yeah, because he's training you not to ask questions and training you it's not safe to ask questions. At family gatherings, how can someone handle the silent treatment by a family member? Ignore that person and have an amazing, wonderful time. Understand that their silence is their own suffering and it doesn't have to be yours. Are you totally healed or are you still abusive? Not abusive. Healing as far as like completely no longer thinking that way. Still working on that for sure. Convinced my husband is a narcissist. You just spoke about stonewalling, and I literally got that from him this morning. I just ignored him. I have to be strong. Yeah, the stonewalling and the silent treatment is a great time for you to be able to focus on you. You have to be able to disconnect this piece here. Why do narcissists lie so much and try to tear you down to avoid shame and guilt and tear you down so they feel better about themselves? Why does a narcissist tend to get angry when you cry or seem extremely bothered by it? Because he is extremely bothered by it, because he hasn't dealt with those emotions. He doesn't want to feel those emotions. Those emotions to a narcissist are weak, shame, guilt, stuff that he doesn't want to feel and he hasn't processed, so he can't hold space for you because he can't even hold space for himself. I'm worried he'll snap on us because his life is going all wrong. A lot of times they can. Porn use makes people selfish and concentrate only on their own needs. Well, narcissists is doing that anyways, so porn fits perfectly into that. How do they really feel when you roast them and mirror them? Sometimes it can hit their ego, but a lot of times it doesn't. How did you become knowledgeable that you were? And if you are, I'm not sure. I'm new here. Yeah, so I am a narcissist, and I'm on this channel to help people understand about narcissistic abuse. I work with women that have been stuck in toxic relationships, whether they're still in or whether they're out of the relationship, helping them heal. And I also work with a select group of guys that have shown up narcissistic liars, cheaters, and they've reached out, being like, hey, I identify with what you say. That's me. That's a piece of it. So inside of it, the journey is long in my whole healing journey and figuring it out. Piece of it of understanding that I think differently, I connect differently, I feel differently, empathy is different. I started learning even some of these about through even like work and through different like personality tests, being like, this is different. I don't connect this way. I don't feel this way. I don't like these people. Like there's a lot of different pieces that came out. Read a book with Brene Brown, which was Daring Greatly, and that introduced me to the concept of shame. Didn't really think anything of shame. It even talks about narcissism in the book. Never realized that, never even saw that chapter until I read it the third time. So it was a piece I was like, that's not me. And then also inside of it, I read a book, Emotional Intelligence. It started showing me that I was not processing my emotions. I didn't know how to be able to handle emotions, how to cope with emotions. There's a lot of different other pieces that came out inside of everything. Went to a sex addiction intensive, ended up being like, I think this is actually what I am, even though I didn't want to believe it, but all the stars were aligning up. It was like a giant puzzle piece of like working for a while to figure out what's wrong with me. And then when I finally figured out like, okay, narcissism, it was a piece that was frustrating, but it was a piece that for me, I was like, I finally have a target. I finally know what I'm actually dealing with and what I'm fighting with. If you want to hear more about my actual story of like my entire journey, you can go to Real and Raw with Ben Taylor. It's a podcast that I have called Real and Raw with Ben Taylor. And you can search for an episode that's called My Origin Story. It walks through that a little bit more in depth. Feel so weird around people now after breaking up with a narcissist. I'm scared of people now. What do I do? Part of it is not just being scared of other people. It's learning how to be able to trust yourself. And that comes with time. And that comes with you being able to process your emotions and feelings and be able to look at what are the facts about the people around me. 13 years together, he's cruel and beyond self-centered. He cheated repeatedly the last 8 years, the same women. I don't know why, I just can't walk away. Like I'm addicted to his approval and it scares me. So Linda, you are addicted to his approval and you're addicted with the trauma bond. It's the piece that'll keep you stuck. And until we help you actually rewire the thought process, the mindset, the thing that you're telling yourself emotionally will always keep you stuck. Even though you know logically, this guy doesn't care. He's cheated on me this many times with this person. Like, you know he doesn't care, right? But that's disconnected from the heart. We have to help you connect the head and heart, because otherwise you're living in this limbo land of like, I know I should do this, but I don't feel this way. I can't do this. That's literally the trauma bond. It's the piece that leaves you stuck. And until we rewire that, you stay stuck pretty much forever, even with you, if you're with them or not with them. It doesn't matter. So please reach out. Go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. There's a quick video that shows a little bit what I do, walking you through a healing journey and the growth mindset. And then also a couple questions that you answered just so we can be able to book a free call. So you can sit down, we can actually build a plan and talk through where you are, where you want to go, and how we can actually help you get you step by step. All right. Let's see. How do they feel when you detach and are non-reactive? A lot of times it's frustrating because they lose control. What's a narcissist breaking point when they just can't take it anymore? A lot of times people talk about there's a narcissistic collapse or narcissistic injury, which a lot of people highlight, saying that it happens way more than what I actually think it happens. But typically it would go back to a piece of shame exposure. So my ex-narcissist so discarded me, never loved me. Why did he say love me and discarded me so easily? So what I would say is like, what's the facts about him loving you if he's not here? Like, regardless of what you think was love, he's not choosing love now, right? So that's a piece where he just walked away. What's the name of the book? I listed off a couple. One of them I listed off was Daring Greatly by Debbie. No, that's Debbie Mirza. That's the wrong one. what is it? Brene Brown. But Daring Greatly talks about shame in depth. Do narcissists know that something is off with them? Yes, 100%. My ex-malignant narcissist has orchestrated an organized stalking project for the last 5 months, even though he has a new supply. Why is this? It's power and control. Go through all the legal channels to make sure that you're protecting you and that you're showing him that you're not going to be bullied around. My ex-husband of 22 years cheated on me and lied for me the past 5 years, made me feel like I was crazy. When I accused him, he's the biggest narcissist. I am now divorced. I'm glad you're divorced. If you need help in the healing, please reach out. Why did I lose who I was when I was with him? I was completely lost in life. It's been 4 years. Will I ever hear completely? The healing piece is 100% on you if you choose to, which it sounds like you want to because you're here. But the reason why you lose yourself is you lose pieces of you to him because he slowly trains you and subconsciously reprograms you to look to him for validation, to look for him for permission, to look for him for acceptance. He builds you up on a pedestal so you feel better about yourself, so you feel like you need what he's giving you. Validation and support, then takes it away. As soon as he takes it away, you're like, but I need that, but I can't live without him, but I don't know who I am. You're still in there. We just have to help unlock that version of you again. Would love to help you with that. You can learn a little bit more at rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. I just got out of a very horrible, verbally abusive relationship with a narcissist. It's been a month, and I could say he broke me, tore me down, had an abortion that was never there for 11 years together, tore me up. Deli, I'm so sorry to hear that. The trauma bond, you need to get out of that mindset, allows to keep in control. Yeah, the trauma bond is the biggest thing that I work with people to help them break, because most people don't know how to deal with it. Most people don't know how to actually break that. Dealing with 35 years and making out, free, healing. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. They do a lot of deflecting, 100%. I wish why I can reach to help the narcissist. I've been able to forgive him like your wife did. So forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. My wife was able to forgive, and that was part of her healing, but it didn't mean that we were going to get back together. The only reason we got back together is because of my transformation. Do you think you're getting ahead in life as a narcissist? I think it's a survival mechanism. It's a really good question. No, there's not really a piece like as a narcissist, like in that moment back then of being like, oh, I'm getting ahead in life, right? There's more of a piece of like, this is just an instinct of this is what I'm going to do. What gets to you when you were in your battle before you were aware that you were a narcissist? I'm not sure how to phrase that. What gets to you? There'd be kind of like anything and everything, right? This piece of like someone not respecting me, not paying attention to me, not valuing me, not believing in me. There was a lot of things that would get to me before, for sure. My current boyfriend, I believe a narcissist can literally walk away from me during a conversation, argument, say I'm going to bed and actually go to sleep. How? No empathy whatsoever. That's because he compartmentalized it. It means that he puts you in a box so he doesn't have to care about you, so he can focus on his own needs. Like I would get to a place inside of an argument with my wife where I get so pissed off and frustrated, and I'd rather play it out, being like, this argument is going nowhere. It's not going to get anywhere. I'm not going to get what I want, so I'm just going to go to bed. Literally just roll over and just fall asleep. Right, is the most uncaring thing to do. But inside that moment, I'm like, okay, what are my needs? I need to wake up early. I need to go to work. I need to do this, blah, blah, blah. So my needs are more important than her needs. So therefore, I'll just go to sleep. That's what he's doing. He's disconnecting completely so he doesn't have to deal with you. 26 years, 2 children, abusive, narcissist, trauma bond. Adrian, reach out. Would love to be able to connect with you. Love to be able to help you move forward. Was married to a narcissist, pastor, 18 years. Took me 3.5 years to fight my way out. He used me as a scapegoat for his own sexual sins. Used me without looking at me or speaking to me. Still not okay. Yeah, it's awful when you dive into it when you're dealing with like the religious piece. Because a lot of narcissists will use Christianity and religion, the Bible, to be able to manipulate even more, which is awful. So it's another piece of abuse of power and abuse of religion. Why do narcissists do things to hurt you, even if it hurts themselves too? Like when they cause turmoil, also disrupts their life too. Why would you not want peace? So I want you to understand, it's like being in the eye of a tornado. Okay, in the eye of a tornado, it's not super chaotic. It's not super crazy. Yeah, it might be disruptive because there's different things that are damaging or shifting, but it's not super crazy. The narcissist is in the eye of the tornado because he is the tornado. He is the hurricane inside of your world. And the difference is he's causing so much destruction and damage around him, he's still in control. So it's a piece that he still justifies, and it's okay for him because he's in control of it. The narcissist broke up with me, but then blames me for taking his son. Is their thinking backwards? He's not my birth certificate and never wanted to be. Why? He's just using that to leverage and bait you so that he can feel better about himself. I use the words borderline and narcissist in a confrontation, and I see how they freeze and their tactics get useless. What do you think? A lot of times I don't even tell people to talk about confronting the person with those phrases, but instead working through the facts and the actions, because oftentimes they'll take it and they'll flip it back around to you. So narcissistic, if he continues to find the smallest thing to yell at you every single day, to point out every single flaw, it's not necessarily narcissistic. It doesn't fit inside the 9 diagnostic traits per se, but inside of that, it's still abusive and it's still hurting and damaging you. If you're like me and you have legal proceedings, I'm up to property settlement, keep going. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces inside of it that makes it really difficult inside of that. All right, I answered that, so stop spamming the same question or we will block. All right, we've got a couple of people. I'm catching up on comments, catching up on everybody just like blowing up the chat. Why do narcissists tend to get angry when you cry or extremely bothered by it? Because they don't want to deal with your emotions. A narcissist is inconvenienced with your emotions because he hasn't processed those emotions and hasn't dealt with it. I'd love to find a healthy relationship at this point in my life. I was with an awful narcissist 10 years. It's been 20 years since leaving him, but the trauma bond is forever because I'm damaged internally. So the trauma bond is not forever. 100%. The trauma bond is not forever. A lot of times people think it's forever because they don't know how to work through it and how to process it, but it's not forever. 100% you can process it. You can actually work through it. My dad's a narcissist and he's hurting my mom. What can I do? I would try to help, like just bring your mom to awareness, right? Because if she doesn't see it, she won't do anything to actually work on herself and actually get free. Do you still consider yourself a narcissist even though you're self-aware and have changed your behavior, or is it an active struggle to be aware of your narcissistic thought process? It's not an active struggle to be aware of it. Sometimes an active struggle to respond correctly or how I want to respond. But as far as like identifying internally, there's not a piece that I'm like, oh yeah, I exemplify these 9 traits every single day. I don't. Like, it's few and far between because of all the work that we put in. What exactly do you think is a good way to construct an argument that would cause him not to lie or be angry or shut down? That's almost impossible because he's not going to play your game and he's not going to play the game that you think, the way that you think he's going to play. He's going to play the Monopoly board the way he wants. And then when he's losing, he's going to flip it off the table and then blame you for moving the pieces. Like, that's the thing you have to understand. When you're dealing with an argument with a narcissist, the best way is to be able to be as emotionally detached as possible and just deal with facts. Well, this is the fact, this is a fact, this is demonstrated, this is evidence. Like, deal with those versus getting all emotionally charged. He'll use that against you. 20 years in the divorce process, said it's getting crazy, not agreeing to any offers and reaching out to attack me with each one he gets. Yeah, a lot of times they want to be able to push back and not even try to like work through the process. Tanya, are we meeting tomorrow? I just noticed your name and I was like, I feel like I actually have an appointment tomorrow. But yeah, the divorce process, a lot of times they'll drag out as long as they can. I like to know how to deal with resentment. Yes, I was married to a Muslim man and he was like, I'm not religious. Then suddenly it's law marriage and it's all about them. So resentment towards him. Big piece is going to have to come through your processing and dealing with the emotions. There's a whole piece on that, but inside of it is dealing with it and being able to have the radical acceptance and forgiveness, which is not accepting it and it's not forgetting it. It's the mental and emotional release of the hold that he has on you. Have they both found that narcissist is in DNA or social or birth? There's a lot of different pieces going around on that. I still believe it's a product of their upbringing based on how they're raised and how they actually process guilt and shame. Do you think the parents teach it or it's born? Actually, same kind of question. I think that there might be in birth, there might be tendencies, or there might be a, what's the right word? Disposition towards it. But I do believe it is all about how they're brought up and how they are taught and how they are trained how to process guilt and shame. The lying is crazy. Everything out of his mouth is a lie. A lot of times they're very habitual liars. Why narcissists don't care to lose a good woman? Do they want to end up alone in life? They don't want to end up alone in life, but they also don't care if you're good or bad. They're not, you're the one putting the label on that. They're not putting the label on that. It's like, does the narcissist want to lose a good toaster or a bad toaster? The narcissist is looking at you like a toaster. He's like, you're going to toast my toast, and then when you don't toast my toast, I'll find someone else who toasts my toast. Like, that's all it is. He's viewing it as an appliance, okay? Why does he keep coming back and saying he wants to be with me if he keeps ghosting me after talking for a while? That's probably because it's getting closer and closer to being more emotionally intimate, emotionally vulnerable, can't handle that, so that's why he has to disappear. I think a lot of women with narcissistic partners are labeled borderline, but it's really a reflection of their environment. Yeah, a lot of women that might be mislabeled borderline oftentimes are CPTSD. Like they have complex post-traumatic stress disorder simply because of the complex stress that they've been under with being in a toxic relationship. If you guys are new coming on here, I'm a self-aware narcissist helping women break free from toxic relationships by helping them see the inside of the narcissist mind of the guy that they're with. I help people work on breaking free from the trauma bond, dealing with the triggers so they no longer affect them, and actually giving them freedom and peace long-term. Inside of this, if you're interested in just learning more about the healing journey and the growth mindset that we walk people through on a daily basis, you can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Now, to give you an opportunity to see a short video, fill out a couple questions, and then book a free call so we can sit down and actually work through the healing process together. Why does he keep coming back and saying he wants to be with me? Right now, the keep coming back is all because you keep letting him. Can you please speak about the link between domestic violence and narcissistic abuse? Domestic violence is like the next level of narcissistic abuse, simply because if that person's entitled so much to you, then oftentimes the rage and the anger can go to the next level of it becoming more and more violent, physically violent around the house, physically violent to the person. What made you change and save your relationship with your wife? How did you realize you were losing her? I realized I was losing her when she left. That was a big sign. But inside of it, I didn't change to save my relationship, and I didn't change for my wife because she tried everything and she couldn't wake me up. The only thing that actually helped was her leaving, so that I had to sit in my own shit and realize that there was nobody else to blame and actually no one else that I could like tell about, right? Because everybody knew my wife left me. So that's a big piece inside of it, is the healing has to come from him wanting to change, not you trying to force it. You try to force it, your relationship is doomed. Like if you get him to shift and change just because you forced him or you manipulated him to do it, it's not gonna happen. You can't love this guy into change, but you can heal and grow and develop yourself. How do I let go? That's part of the trauma bond, breaking it down and working to eradicate the triggers and the lies that you believe that he sold you for such a long period of time. Some of that comes into radical acceptance. Some of that comes into what we teach, which is called the freedom formula, teaching people how to actually break down the subconscious programming piece by piece. I just got out of a relationship with a narcissist, and why do they continue to self-sabotage and gaslight the person they quote unquote love? Because they don't love you, because his ego's in the way. Why does he keep coming back and saying, okay, we keep getting the same question. I answered that. I'm catching up. I'm sorry. How do I stop my friends from being narcissistic? You don't. You focus on yourself. You can't change other people. Like that's the biggest piece. Like you're not here to be able to shift other people. Okay? You're a narcissist, and that's all I need to know. In my own personal opinion, all narcissists are a major red flag. I would 100% agree. Narcissists are a major red flag, which is why I don't expect you to take anything I say for face value. You can look at people that have worked with me. You can talk to people that have worked with me. You can look at different reviews. You can just look at all my content and see, does it actually match up? Am I speaking truth or am I just telling lies? Are you diagnosed or self-diagnosed? Diagnosed. 7 months later, he sent another message, but then quickly unsent it. What does it mean? It was probably baiting you, trying to see if you get a response or reaction out of you without actually texting you. Why a narcissist always put their girlfriend down, then go back to them or never take accountability for his actions. He's not going to take accountability for his actions because that would be guilt and shame. That comes with the responsibility, and you actually have to own up to things, actually have to process it. He has to put the girlfriend down so he feels better about himself. Narcissists will threaten, but it's always BS. Please don't say that to other people, because if he threatens someone and then he actually does something to them, you don't want to be the person that had someone be self-aware. I always tell people take their threats seriously, because I'd rather have someone take their threats seriously than get like abused or get killed simply because they're like, oh, it's just BS. And then he actually rages out one day and hurts somebody. I ended up marrying my abuser and narcissist, and I feel that it'll never change. That exactly is the best way to approach it to end it. He has me in a situation where we're 100% dependent on him. Big piece inside of that is we have to help shift the mindset, because even if you walked out tomorrow, you went to a homeless shelter, whatever you had to do, you moved in with someone to get away, like the mindset piece still would leave you trapped, because that's a piece that's called the trauma bond. And if we don't deal with the trauma bond, it leaves you stuck. Tanya, awesome. I'm glad. Hey, from the UK, as an honest narcissist, cool, good to see this. How do you know when you're dealing with a narcissist? What I would say is look up my video on YouTube that deals with the 9 diagnostic traits. If you're on any of my Instagram, you can actually shoot a DM or you can comment on any of my posts just with the word 9 traits. And I actually send you a PDF that we actually have that goes through the 9 diagnostic traits as well. I wish YouTube had something like that where you could just like text something in. I need to get that set up on like a phone number. I should totally do that. So only women? Yeah, I only work with women survivors and male narcissists. I've tried working with the others. They don't work. They're not my person to be able to work with. I've had lots of guys reach out and be like, I've been abused by a woman. I'm like, okay, go through this challenge. No guy does it. No guy completes it. So they're just not my person to work with. I left in the night. Experts will understand you, but the narcissist will never understand why. He's also saying that just to be able to trigger you and control you. Can I sue my narcissistic boyfriend from physically assaulting me? Yeah, definitely. You've helped me understand what's going on in this weird psycho mind. Thank you for all this info. Absolutely. Been there, domestic violence from narcissist. Yeah. Why did my ex of 11 years, instead of being there for me through the abortion, thought I was cheating and broke me more and hurt me and accused me of fooling around everywhere I went? Probably because he was already cheating on you. That's probably like not the thing you want to hear in this moment, but probably because he was already cheating on you. So he wanted you to admit that you were cheating or feel bad that you were cheating, even though you weren't, so that he would feel better about himself. Did the stalking stop after no contact? It typically stops when you get them thrown in jail or get them arrested. Are narcissists oppressed by demons? Everything they do is so demonic and cruel. I don't believe so. And that's just from my own personal opinion, which most people are like, well, you're a narcissist, so of course you're not going to say they're possessed by a demon. I was never possessed by the things I did. I had free reign and free choice every single time. All you have to do is take someone and have them just fulfill their own lustful carnal desires, and yeah, you'll have a narcissist. Because if they're entitled to rule the world in their mind, they think they're the best person ever. That doesn't take a demon to just be an abusive asshole that's self-centered and self-entitled. Someone said, why are you racist and why are you bald? Why are you putting in stupid comments? Oh, wait, that's right, you're blocked. Okay, anyways, moving on. Did you cheat on your wife? Yes, I did. I've been there, done that, so I'm glad I'm out. What helps is being in tune with yourself. That's part of the healing, 100%. How many times toxic mother, self-hatred, no self-love. He won't change until it's too late. Do you think it's possible my narcissist is doing all the things on accident? He swears he doesn't mean to. So that only works the first time, right? So if he walks up to you and he slaps you in the face, he's like, oh, I didn't mean to hit you. And then he does it again. Do you see what I mean? Like on accident, and he swears he doesn't mean to, only works the first time. But if you're asking that question, you're not asking because it's the first time. You're asking because there's been a repetitive pattern, and then you're wondering, it has to be on accident because he wouldn't knowledgeably do this. Well, you have to understand he doesn't think like you. He doesn't process things like you. He's not like you. So as a result, his on accident is his lack of ownership, lack of accountability, lack of responsibility. And as a result, he's still getting away with it. How do you handle the stalking legally? Like go the legal route as much as you can, record everything. I'm proud to say I'm broken the trauma in 19 years. Cheryl, that's awesome. I appreciate your responses. Thank you. You're welcome. A narcissist doesn't call himself a narcissist. Majority of narcissists won't admit it. Yeah, 100%. Why does he love, hate, love, hate, love, hate? He said he's divorcing me, that he says he's not going anywhere. Why the up and down? He's not going to go anywhere because you're still accepting him and still allowing him in, okay? The love, hate, the back and forth, that's intermittent reinforcement. It's a tactic that he uses to keep you stuck. There are billions of people, the narcissist doesn't need you. They say that. They'll find another one to move on. You're in the corner. Yep, totally get that. How'd you get diagnosed? Lots of therapy. It's been over 5 years now. Do they harm their kids as well as manipulation? 100%. If they have the mindset of endless options, why do they get upset when one supply leaves? Because they broke their control and they rejected them. They abandoned them, okay? Mine hurt me so many times. The last time left me unconscious, 7 months pregnant. I hope you're free and I hope you're out. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse. Inside like the domestic violence piece, it only gets worse. Just met a new guy. He said his ex was crazy. Is that a red flag? Yes, that's a red flag. I would be really careful just because it is a red flag. Do they get along with kids? Depends. There's a lot of different pieces of that. My ex-boyfriend's son is narcissistic nightmare. He turned around and said, I hope you die today. It sounds also like sociopathic as well. If you're able to call yourself a narcissist, you used to be one, not anymore. Okay. Why didn't he ever parade the new supply around me? He just disappeared 9 months later trying to hoover. He might have disappeared with the new supply to not show you so he could come back, or to not show other people so he'd feel better about himself. That's all it is. Why do they despise people? They attach to them to continue to abuse, but don't want you to leave. Power and control. It's control over you, makes them feel better about themselves, puts you down so they feel better about themselves. Also, sorry to bombard you, but I feel that he is more obsessed with me than he is in love with me. Is that true? A part of narcissism? A lot of times the obsession is about the mask that he has of how he wants to look, to act, to have the world or you perceive him. And the control is a sidestep from that, right? So like if I'm control of like how I look or how I am or what people see, right? Then I have to be obsessed with the people around me to keep them in control, to keep them in line of how they want them to be. That's oftentimes what a narcissist is doing. So how do you feel about being a narcissist? Part of my journey and all of the stuff that I've done and all of the shit that I've done, like part of that has brought me to the place that I can give people awareness now. So it's a piece I could beat myself up with the past, or I could say that's who I was. Now I'm living this life to be able to help educate and help people be free, which is amazing. And it's an awesome opportunity. How to get away from a narcissist that's a stalker, even with an order of protection. It's difficult with that because even with the order of protection, like you have to be able to document it, call the police every single time. Like oftentimes you have to either move or even like get them thrown in jail. Where you really get in the conversation where you're dealing with a man to another man where one is latent homosexual. I don't really know where we're going with that. How do you know if the narcissist is really changing? He goes to counseling in church. Yeah. Okay. But you know he's really changing or is a mess. So the hard part with that is like oftentimes counseling inside of the church environment is poor and also has no clue about narcissism. And they're just like, oh, he wants to work on the relationship. When in reality, he doesn't. He just wants to manipulate. The biggest thing you have to see is long-term change behavior. Long-term change behavior is like the biggest aspect. Is he being honest? Is he being trustworthy? Is he being loyal? Do you see shifts in his behavior that are not just temporary ones, that are not just these small changes? Narcissist has a lot of different traits. There's 9 different diagnostic traits for a narcissist. You have to have at least 5 of them. You're looking at someone who is entitled, that oftentimes does not show or exemplify empathy, that has this need for admiration, that's looking to manipulate other people, that views himself being better than other people. A lot of different pieces to it. Really like to hear your challenge to men suffering from narcissistic abuse from their women. I'd really like to hear your challenge for men. You can look at that. You can go to rawmotivations.com and it's called Survivor to Thriver. There's a link there to the website. It's a 6-week challenge. And then inside of that, you're able to walk through pieces of breaking the trauma bond and rewiring the triggers. We don't have a lot of men that have gone through it. I think I've maybe had one that's ever finished. And that was it. Majority of times, they don't. And that's why I don't work with the guys. That's why I don't work with the guys inside of my intensives. Simply because they don't do the work and they actually don't finish. So inside of that, I don't. What's the best outcome for narcissists like me? I've been self-isolating to avoid hurting people and genuinely trying to improve. Nestor, if you really want to shift that, like I would love to be able to talk to you. You can go to rawmotivations.com. There's a breakthrough call for men on that website, okay? Inside of there, you can fill out a couple questions, book a free call, and we can sit down and talk and actually walk through it. Like right now, I'm living the best outcome, right? Because my behavior has shifted. My mindset has transformed. Who I am today, showing up honest, showing up being completely different than what I was 5 years ago, massively different. My wife and I are connected. Like our daughters are growing and thriving. Being a little crazy sometimes, but they're growing and thriving. Like our life is completely transformed. Why? Because I had to own all of my shit and I had to learn how to process it. I had to learn how to deal with it to be able to shift my mindset. So reach out, rawmotivations.com, click on the breakthrough call for guys. How do I keep my daughter safe from her father's mentally, physically, and emotionally abusive? Definitely go on the physical. Like if it's the physical piece, you can go legal route like that wholeheartedly, okay? The other piece inside of it is like if she's dealing with the piece of like the narcissistic abuse, is providing an emotional safe space so she can actually process and working through this. My daughter had a bad one. She would come home running away from him barefoot in the winter. No jacket. Was lucky to get picked up by a taxi. Yeah. Have you stopped? Yes. Why do narcissists blame their person for cheating when they aren't? Because the narcissist is cheating. They want to feel better about themselves by getting you to blame and own up to something you haven't done. But wouldn't the discard phase also consist of dropping the stalking behaviors? Not typically. A lot of times if they're stalking anyways, they'll keep doing it just so they have power control of you. What's the best outcome? Oh, I answered that. All right, calm down on, I'm answering the questions. You don't have to put them in a million times. As a self-aware narcissist, are you remorseful? Yes, now, then no. How to tell the difference between a narcissist and a woman hater? By the abuse that you're accepting. Because either one is just as bad. So like, I get that there's a question there, and I'm not trying to put the question down, but what I want you to see is the question is stemming from something that's deeper, of like wanting to see the difference for a reason versus wanting to actually look at the abuse you're accepting and make decisions from there. Did you love bomb at first? Can you change? 100% you can change. Anyone can transform if they're willing to build that off of truth and honesty. Most people are not willing to do that. Can you explain the trauma bond? Really good question. So trauma bond, I break down a couple different ways. So take notes, write it down. Trauma bond oftentimes is going to make you feel crazy, and it's going to be this mental, emotional, psychological, even like physical, visual reaction of feeling like addicted to this person, like you can't leave this person, or if you leave, you have to go back, or if you're completely separated, you can't get them out of your head, right? The rumination is also a piece of the trauma bond. When we break down the trauma bond completely, it looks like this in a couple different ways. One is hope and potential. You hope that he's going to change, so you keep holding on to hope longer than what you should, ignoring facts, ignoring reality, thinking it's going to eventually get better, that this is the price you have to pay to get to the love that's never going to come. He's just continuing to keep the carrot in front of the horse, keep pulling you along. You also think of the potential. He has so much potential. I see so much potential in him, but that's not your job to pull out of him, and he's not willing to actually live to that potential, so therefore the hope and potential keep you far longer than what it should. The other piece is the intermittent reinforcement, and that's the love-hate that we talked about earlier. That's the going back and forth, pushing you and then pulling you back. And it produces this chaos and this up and down, the emotional roller coaster that you're on, that you start to feel like that's normal and that's love. And you start to discount the lows of it's not really that bad because it's going to get better. And then the highs are there and you're like, yes, this is what it is. And then it gets bad again. You're like, oh, but it'll be okay. And you start to rationalize the behavior that's happening and rationalize the abuse and the manipulation that's happening to you. Then on top of that, you have the cognitive dissonance, which is like all three of these concepts are like the addictive cocktail that leaves you stuck in a toxic relationship. The cognitive dissonance is holding two opposing thoughts at the same time and not sure which one to do. Do I believe his words or do I believe his actions? Well, he says he loves me, but he's cheating on me. Which do I actually believe? And oftentimes you'll construct a third thought to justify staying or to be stuck in the relationship. That nutshell, trauma bond that produces this addictive cocktail that leaves you stuck. Is there a difference between a selfish, self-centered person and a narcissist? What I would say is the difference is the abuse that you accept. Like that's really it. I don't really care at the end of the day whether the guy that you're with is a narcissist or not. What I care about is the abuse that you're accepting, because we have to wake you up to the reality that you're getting abused, that you're getting manipulated, that you're getting lied to, that you're getting treated like shit, right? Because if you don't wake up to that reality, you oftentimes look for a label to justify staying or to justify leaving. My narcissist husband lied to the medicals about his moods and behavior and diagnosed with autism. What's the best outcome for, I already answered that. I'm trying to catch up. How can I become a narcissist like you? As far as like healing, growing, changing, we'd love to talk to you. You can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the breakthrough call for guys, and we can talk. So then you are not a narcissist. I am a narcissist. Welcome to the channel. Can a narcissist also have self-hatred? A lot of narcissists have self-hatred because they don't want to deal with the shame and the guilt inside. Why do narcissists not like to be recorded or hate text voice messages? Because they don't like proof that they're toxic. How did your wife trust you again after cheating with her for several women? So one, she left. All right. I'm going to put you in timeout. You can come back if you're nice. All right. Where are we at? How did your wife trust? So first off, it was a piece of she came back to get clothes and she noticed a shift in who I was and how I was showing up. So she gave it a little bit of time. Then she gave it a little bit of time. She also healed. Like she worked on herself. So she didn't need me anymore. She didn't have a trauma bond. She broke all those things. So like her learning how to trust me didn't have as much to do with me as it did learning to trust herself. Trust yourself of being like, okay, if this ever happens again, I'm gone without a moment's notice and I don't really care, right? So she had to make a conscious choice of not being dependent on me to be able to rebuild herself so that she was able to trust her. That then allowed for the opportunity for her to be able to trust and evaluate by her own decisions and her own thought process of like, can I trust this action? Can I trust this fact? Then she could look at it from that basis versus back and forth, emotionally kind of whiffling and waffling back and forth. She was able to look at it in a different way. Do narcissists truly love their pets in a way they don't love people? Not necessarily. Jesus breaks every chain. Yes, but Jesus also doesn't force that and doesn't force a decision on another person. So while Jesus is there to help and to fix and to work in the healing process, he also doesn't force a narcissist to change. So you can pray all you want, but if God isn't going to force the person to change because the person has free will, you have to understand there's a piece inside of there that you have to think about. My husband also played the image of the sweet adulteress who doesn't know what he's doing, so he's heartbroken that he tries so hard. I'm too difficult to love. I'm not. Yeah, he's always going to do that to try to be able to keep you under control. I want to ask what we can say to our new partner when we've moved on to help us deal with narcissistic guests that would help me and other women out there. Is that like you're talking to like a new partner that's like a healthy one of like how to help you work through it? Is that what you're talking about? Is there any hope of change? The hope is that you change. The hope is that you transform. The hope is that you heal. Right? Inside of this, like I want you to understand there's a piece of this that you have to see. You are not here to be able to transform him. You are not here to hope that he's going to change. That's part of the trauma bond. That's why you're still stuck. Because you're looking at hope for this other person, you're discounting a ton of facts and a ton of red flags all at the same time. How would I know if he truly changed like you in case he comes back? What would be the first thing your wife did to take you back? She healed. Like you have to understand this. It's not about what he does. It's about what you do. If you don't heal, then even if he healed, he'd come back in the relationship and you'd still blow it up. Why? Because you haven't healed your triggers, your trauma bond, the things that are affecting you. You have to heal first. My narcissist husband using my daughter against me makes me the villain. Is super nice to her. He's make my daughter hate me. A lot of times they'll try to like do parental alienation, right? They'll try to pit the kids against you. You have to show up consistent no matter what. It's super hard, and I feel for you because there's a lot of women that fight this a lot. Will you block one out? Yeah, I put her in timeout. Are there women narcissists? Yes, there are, just not who I work with. If he's trying to control you, you're better than him, make him look good. He puts on a show, the whole thing. Just wanted to say congratulations where you are now. Appreciate it. My husband was a narcissist. He still calls but never leaves messages, and I refuse to take his calls. I don't block because I want him to know I see it. You can, but it's not really going to do anything. He still knows he has access, and it still puts a little bit of control and supply because he still knows he gets through to you. So it's in mind, he still gets off on the fact that he can still get through to you. The best way to help others, in fact, is the only way to truly help others is through experience. And narcissists helping people through narcissist experience are brilliant. Actually, appreciate it. How do you deal with someone that sees that remains calmer than you are comfortable with? I don't understand where we're going with that question. I'm sorry. I've heard that a lot of the time, men that their own father's narcissistic has those traits, although there's such a pattern prevalence to certain nationalities, there's religious links. There could be different links like that for sure. Why do they seek power and control? That's to avoid shame and guilt. That's all it is. It's not enjoying hurting others, it's to avoid hurting themselves. How about stalking on social media? My relationship was destroyed because they contacted my boyfriend and told him terrible things about me. Yeah, it's really hard when they're going to be stalking you on social media. What is an experience that helped you learn to manage your diagnosis the most? Not sure an experience, but like one of the things that I would probably say resonated a ton was sitting in the therapist's office and asking my therapist one time as I started feeling like the weight of different things. And I asked her, I was like, in this moment, I was like, I don't really know who I am. I was like, I don't know if I'm a man or if I'm a monster. And without missing a beat, she looked right back at me and she was like, maybe you're both. Depends on which one you choose to be. And something kind of broke inside me whenever she said that of like, oh, okay. I actually can accept both of those at the same time based on my decisions, based on my choices. So it showed me it was a choice. It's always a choice. Don't let anybody think that it's not a choice. Narcissism and abuse is always a choice. No, you spoke on this earlier, but what resources do you have to help me understand a narcissist or how to escape the situation I'm in? I'm aware a lot of my mindset often enables him to continue. So Tyler, what I'd say is reach out because inside of the rawmotivations.com/breakthrough link gives you an opportunity to either book a free call with me or gives you an opportunity to step into one of our smaller challenges, just to be able to help give you the awareness and help walk you through. There's a lot of resources that we have to try to be able to help you inside that. When you say long-term changes, you mean take him back or just stay as friends for a year, just watch him? So, Marisabel, I need you to understand what I'm saying is you have to heal. You're too focused. I'm calling you out because I've seen this too many times. I've worked with over 4,000 people, and inside of all your questions, you're too focused on, but what if he changes? What if he comes back? What if he fixes? What if you never heal and you're still stuck in the same spot? Like when I say there has to be long-term changes on him, that means you have to heal so much that if he came back, you'd be able to know it in an instant. Like the people that I work with, they can see through the fog and the shit super fast now. Why? Because they have clarity and confidence and certainty, and they trust themselves 100%. They know who they are. They have boundaries. They're moving towards their goals. So when that person comes back into life, or anyone toxic comes back into life, they're like, nope, not happening. They're not even attracted to this person. It's not about how much they've been watching him. This is how much they've been shifting themselves. Same thing for counterfeit money, okay? Great example inside of this, actually, I just thought of, all right? Same thing with counterfeit money. In order for people to spot the counterfeit, they don't teach you and they don't show you all the counterfeits out there. They show you the real deal. So you want to figure out who's the counterfeit, you focus on the real deal, which is you, your healing, you becoming the authentic version of you, so that when untruth comes into your life, when lies come into your life, when cheating comes into your life, you're like, oh, yep, not me, not who I want to be. Everyone thinks I'm crazy one and my husband is a saint. So Bella, reach out, because a lot of that is typical when people are dealing with toxic relationships. You got to get around other people that see and understand you because they've been in your same situation. I feel like I love him, but it's more of a session at a point. So Bella, you can still love him 100%, but it doesn't mean that you need to accept the abuse from him. There's a difference inside that. I need help with healing from narcissists I've had in my life, but none have been romantic. I'm still on the fence about the Thriver program. So Joanne, like if you're inside of that, like I would say like reach out and let's just have a call. So go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. If you're saying that and we've already had a call, sorry, because I can't remember everybody's name. But inside of that, like what I would say is like if you don't go straight into like our Thriver program, step into Survivor to Thriver. Like it's a really great way to start working through the process, but more than that, having tools and having community to help support you in that. Would you say narcissistic behavior comes from a spoiled childhood? Not necessarily. That oftentimes is what people think. That can be a piece of it, but it's not always. How can someone not be trauma bond and live free life without a narcissist? What we teach is how to help you actually work through the freedom formula, which is rewiring the subconscious belief. You don't rewire the subconscious belief, eradicate the triggers, eradicate the lies that he placed upon you and the lies that you're believing. You can't break the trauma bond. How do I move forward from the narcissist spouse as I navigate divorce while pregnant? Super hard, because you got a lot of emotions that are influencing you with the pregnancy piece, and you got divorce, which can be very, very triggering. I would definitely want to get you around other women that are going through the same process, because it helps not for everybody to get around and just sing kumbaya and like cry about it. You see other people that are using action plans and tools to navigate their triggers, to deal with their emotions, to break their trauma bond, and to be able to have support. That's what helps a ton of people actually knowing and understanding how to work through this. If you want to know more about that, you can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Just fill out a couple questions after you watch the video, and it'll give you an opportunity to book a free call or step into one of our challenges. How did you even get to the point of calling yourself out and believing you were a narcissist? Tina, I went through this earlier. It's not your fault. It's mine, because it's already been 60 minutes since I'd live. Go to Real and Raw podcast. So it's Real and Raw with Ben Taylor. And you can find that podcast anywhere, and look up my origin story. Has that whole piece inside of there, and it talks through that piece by piece. After 6 months of complete no contact, is there anything I should be aware to look out for from a female narcissist? You should block, ghost, go no contact. You should focus on you. And there shouldn't be a piece that you're just like waiting on pins and needles for the next shoe to drop, the next person to just pop into your life. You focus on your healing so much. Again, going back to the counterfeit bill example, you focus on being the real deal so much, so if that person ever did come back, you wouldn't be triggered. How can you be a narcissist if you're reflecting on your faults? Lots of work. That's really what it is. It's a lot of work. How do they block and ghost when they discard? How do they run and never speak again? Even after decades together, they compartmentalize and push it aside so they don't have to deal with it. Bella, I went to therapy and didn't help at all. I'm sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of times that we get people that will come to Raw Motivations because therapy didn't work, it plateaued, or it just furthered even the abuse. Like I've had some therapists that I've heard from, heard through, as far as like people come to Raw Motivations, they'll tell me what the therapist told them, and I'm like, yeah, that therapist is an idiot. Because there's been different pieces. Like I had someone recently, I was trying to think who it was. I had someone recently who came into one of our programs, and the therapist was like, well, maybe think of it from his point of view. And I'm like, there's like a bunch of things that were like giant red flags about some therapists out there. Can a narcissist change and have a successful relationship? Not without truth. not without honesty, the willingness to actually be emotionally vulnerable, and consistency inside that growth and development. Are you scared you'll go back to the way you used to be? No. Simply because one, I'll implode all of my life because I built fail safes inside of that. And two, it's not who I want to be. It's not how I want to show up. So I'm fighting the opposite way every single day and building up more muscle to never be that guy again. We are bonded with a narcissist forever, but can be diminished to almost nothing. It takes spirituality, medication, not answering the phone. You are not bonded to the narcissist forever. So Kimberly, I get where you're coming from with that, but that is not true. Now you might say, well, spiritually there's a soul tie. Yeah, soul ties can be broken. Well, there's the trauma bond piece. Yeah, that can be broken. There's multiple pieces and ties that can be broken. You are not bonded for life. That is not true. Narcissists hate independent women if he's a man, or is it just everyone? Not necessarily hate independent women. A lot of times the narcissist wants to bring down an independent woman so he feels better about himself. Why do narcissists have children? Sometimes it's simply to have control and have someone that adores them and to keep you trapped. And sometimes it's just because that's the thing they're supposed to do. Do you either get neglected as a child or you're the golden child with too much freedom? No, not the golden child necessarily. When neglected would be a piece inside of like the emotional neglect. That would be a big piece that affected me. What's wrong with my husband is he's abusive and he makes promises but will not keep and gets mad when he's always jealous, and I have good times with the 16-year-olds and 19-year-old. Yeah, so inside that, like he's not willing to work on himself. This guy knows he's talking about, holy crap. It's not accepting, it's tolerating what we know. I don't know why I'm like stuck on that. That just like, I said it's the abuse you're accepting. The person said it's not accepting, it's tolerating what we already know.
I missed the first part.
You missed the first part. That is fine. There's something in that statement that just like, I said the biggest piece about it is accepting the abuse. And the person said it's not accepting, it's tolerating the abuse we know. I don't know why. There's like something underneath it now. They can't figure out what it is.
Like, is it just like irritating you?
No, not irritating. It's like there's something inside the wording of like it's not accepting, it's tolerating the abuse we know. Yeah, there's a yes, it's tolerating the abuse you know. Yes, it's accepting. What it actually is when it's tolerating the abuse that you know, it's self-abuse. Because what's happening at this point is you know that's abuse and you're letting it continue. Yes, it's accepting it. Yes, it's tolerating it. But at that point, you're self-abusing. Because you know what it is and you're letting it happen. This is no longer the narcissist hammering a nail into your hand. It's you hammering a nail into your hand. Knowing full well what's happening, what's going on. It's seeing the red flags and still driving down red flag lane because it feels comfortable. It's continuing the abuse that he no longer has to do because he has you fully trapped. It stuck with me for a second, so I had to say it. Can narcissism and schizophrenia go hand in hand with one another, the same person? Yes, they can. I feel like everything you're saying is my normal. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why I want to work with you and have like help you work through this, because your normal is not normal, but it's what you've been conditioned to feel normal. How do you actually get to the aha moment and accept that you're in fact the narcissist? I didn't have an aha moment. That's the piece that everybody hates. There was no light bulb. It was multiple things. It was the best way I can describe it. It was like a dimmer switch, if we want to talk about light bulb, or it was like taking a puzzle and flipping over all the pieces and then figuring out the puzzle spelled narcissism. It wasn't a one moment thing. So everybody's looking for it. How do I find that aha moment? How do I duplicate it in my relationship so I can figure out how to make it better? I didn't have that. Are narcissists jealous of friends, neighbors, successful people, always feeling inferior? Yes, 100%. It's part of actually the 9 traits. What's the best revenge? Not in a bad way. The retaliation. What's the best way to show narcissists that you aren't dealing with it anymore, I guess? Indifference, healing, growth. That's it. The best way to have revenge on a narcissist is you heal fully so that you're indifferent about all of their actions. And when they act out, you're just like, okay, yeah, you can act out like that, but I'm going to keep living my life. Yeah, revenge doesn't work. Revenge only hurts you more. So clear in your explanation. Been narc-free the past 3 months and never going back. Why would I when there's plenty of non-narcissistic fish in the sea? I'm so glad to hear that. My ex on and off for the past 5 years ghosted me and booked a room with a hot tub. It was really nice for his birthday. He literally ghosted me the next morning. Do you think I will hear from him? You only hear from him if you want to hear from him. Like, I don't know for sure if he's going to come back or not. I'm not going to claim that I will, right? But what I do know is if you block, ghost, go no contact, you can actually be in charge of your healing and actually control whether you hear from him or not. Like, the piece inside this is you have to hear is the final discard. The last time you hear from this guy is when you decide that. It's not when he magically decides that he's not going to come back anymore. I tried to leave him, went no contact. When he asked for me back, I took him back because I was close to him. Now I know that I'm trapped. So inside of that, you can still heal, you can still get out. Like, we have to help you like do this, but you can still heal and get out. Are you Christian? Yes, I know God and have a relationship with him. Why do they avoid shame and guilt? That's a good question. Shame and guilt for a narcissist feels like death, feels like weakness because of the emotional vulnerability that's needed to be able to accept it. But shame and guilt is also a piece of like the internal versus the external. So it's like this, I have to avoid shame and guilt because it's reminding me that I'm not who I say I am, right? So like when I was having affairs, it's like I'm faithful, but I'm also having affairs. So there's shame inside of that because I'm incongruent with who I actually am. Does my narcissist boyfriend know he's hurting me after the discard and broken promises? He doesn't care. Why do some narcissists threaten to kill themselves but say they won't actually ever do it? That would be a little bit more on the borderline side for sure, but it's just manipulation. It's just emotional blackmail. Is there a benefit to confront a narcissist? No, there's really not. There's a benefit in your healing, but in confronting, a lot of times they'll use it, flip it around on you. What's suing a narcissist for money back like? He's got a CGI, knows you're running a court claim. It's virtually almost impossible unless you have like a foolproof case of how to get the money back. I still love my husband. You can love your husband and you can heal. Just because you love him doesn't mean you need to still have the abuse in your life though. You can still love that person, and sometimes the most loving thing is to step back and not let that person continue to abuse you and also hurt himself, right? Like he's hurting himself by hurting you and by hurting him at the same time. So like if you love him, it's also not a piece to be like, hey, I love you and keep doing this to hurt me. And that's not real love. Why people ignore people they love because of their ego. Why people ignore people they love because of the ego? Because they don't love, right? You have to relook at your definition of love there. Is it okay that I never get over my narcissistic ex? People think it's so easy to let go and get over it. So Golden Goddess, it's not easy for sure. So anybody that tells you it's easy, like it's full of shit. Like they don't know what they're talking about, right? But can you get over it? 100%. I can show you a bunch of women that have gotten over it. Love is unconditional. I've forgiven him, but I may never allow him near me again. Trust and love are not the same thing. 100%. Forgiveness doesn't require accepting abuse again. 100%. Jane, fantastic comment there. Thank you so much. I work with a narcissist. How do I navigate around this person in the workplace? Deal with facts, deal with evidence. Don't deal with emotions because they'll use that against you. Are you always thinking negative thoughts? No, you're not a narcissist. Thanks for the diagnosis. What exactly is narcissism from your perspective? Like, do you have any feelings about it or a specific way you would like to explain it? I normally will even go back and just reference it through the 9 diagnostic traits because a lot of people don't know what narcissism is and don't know it from a diagnostic standpoint. Earlier tonight, I was trying to pull it up on my iPad because I have it on my computer, the DSM-5, and I was telling my wife, I was like, if you actually just Google narcissism, like 9 traits, it does not even always pull it up. Like, it's hard for Google to even find exactly what it is. It's ridiculous. When like, if you search DSM-5, I searched DSM-5, 9 diagnostic traits, it still took me like 20 clicks just to be able to find it. It's ridiculous. Nobody's gonna take that time. If you're on my Instagram page, you can actually DM us 9 traits and I'll shoot you a quick automation with the PDF where you can actually look at the 9 diagnostic traits. I have them from the DSM-5 and I explain them like in my voice inside of there. Before you sought help for your narcissism, did you love your wife? No, because I didn't show it. I didn't act like it. I didn't demonstrate it. Love is demonstrated. Love is shown. I didn't show up that way at all. Joanne, yeah, would love to hear from you. Do you always have to be around people? No. Can you be alone? Yes. Can I explain to my child that their father's behavior is not good? 100%, and you should. Doesn't mean you shouldn't necessarily say, hey, your dad's a narcissist. You should say, hey, your dad's lying. Like your dad's with another woman, right? You should be very honest with your kids. It's accepting the love you think you deserve. Drop self-abandonment. Self-abandonment is a good word there. You get what you tolerate in any situation in life. I know I'm like so behind on comments. You guys have been like blowing me up in a good way. What about the disparity of power in relationship? What if you can't really say anything and fight back because you're a child? And then you have to work on the emotional side, like working on, in one sense, while you're in it, survival wise, you have to kind of compartmentalize to be able to work through it. Is narcissism usually misdiagnosed as anxiety? No, but I could see it being misdiagnosed. A lot of times it would be misdiagnosed as like ADHD or even bipolar. Can you ever be alone? Do you always have to be with someone? I already answered this. Yes, I can be alone. Are narcissists control freaks? Yes. If you feel trapped too, like reach out. rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. What if someone's conditioned since childhood with all the passive symptoms, judgmental, hypercritical, and all the confusion of love, hate, being out on the open? I don't know what the question was going to. Sorry. My husband threatens me if I leave, then he will take the child from me, so I remain in the relationship. I hate it. I feel so trapped. There's different ways that we can go about that and helping you either get custody or even 50-50 so that you can be free and not continue to have that influence on you and on the kids. I'm the black sheep of the family, no assertiveness and self-esteem. If I say anything, I'm blamed for being sensitive, punished with silent treatment. So Grace, you might need to pull back from the family because they're not respecting you. Vitamin Narcissist X. Vitamin Narcissist X, I went no contact, tries to call me every year. Will he always try? He probably will until you block him or until you change your number. He dissed my lack of discernment when he would always make excuses on things I noticed about him. I wanted to believe in good faith. Well, yeah, the lack of discernment he was making fun of. He wasn't just dissing it, he was making fun of it because your lack of discernment to be with him, because he knew that he was like taking you for a ride. Tolerating keeps you stuck. Once you accept it, you can move on. Yeah, I see that. If I stay, I INFJ J strong, independent with self-respect, Sigma empath who sees the manipulation as a covert, so stay strong. Oh, that chest thrust and the mask with the wife around. Okay, I'm starting to see a narcissist now. Okay. How do you deal with a narcissist ex-husband and co-parent effectively? Understand that you are not going to be able to co-parent. What you're going to be doing is looking up parallel parenting and using the BIF method: brief, informative, friendly, and firm. Why do you do this? This is my full-time job. Working to help provide transformation for women that have been in toxic relationship and men that have shown up as narcissists. The benefit I get from it is seeing people transform and not living the same life or dealing with the same thing that I put people through or that how I lived. How can I always win an argument with a narcissist who is a sibling? Stop arguing and stop playing the game. The only reason narcissist wins the game is because he controls the rules and he can switch it around. Why did narcissists turn sadistic after a breakup? They didn't turn, they're just revealing it. What it's better, answering my narcissist ex when he tries to call me 1 time a year after 5 years of no context, or letting him know how well I'm doing with him, or just never answering him again. Never, like having him call you and it doesn't ring. That's what's better, right? Because that's ultimate control, because then he has no access. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Why does a narcissist need to demean others nonstop, even his or her kids, so he feels better about himself? Narcissists don't reveal themselves. They're broken. You're not 100%. That's because I've been working on myself for over 5 years in therapy, hundreds of thousands of dollars that I spent inside of coaching, counseling, therapy to be able to shift my mindset on who I actually am. So welcome to the channel. He said he loves me, but he never chased me. Chasing doesn't mean love. If he doesn't love you, it's going to be a lot different. I would say it doesn't choose you, right? That would be a big piece of this. I grieve over the good times so much, so understand the good times are interspersed so that you feel bad about the good times, but you ignore the bad times. Most important advice to your younger self: truth is essential, and don't lie. Like, be honest about who you actually are. Be honest about what's going on inside. Is narcissism curable? Anything is curable if a person's willing to be honest and actually work through it. Is counseling good to healing from a narcissist? Like counseling for a narcissist or healing from a narcissist? And I'm a narcissist. I want to be more conscious. I'm still fall short. Do you have any tips? I work with guys who are narcissistic, and the biggest piece is we have to teach them how to be able to process their triggers and emotions, how to be able to live an honest life. I don't just feel trapped, I am trapped. No income, no vehicle, no way out. He punished me every move I make, not the home cooking and cleaning. So Sarah, you might have to like move out. You might have to find a place you can move into so you can actually get your feet underneath you. Do you charge for your support? We have different challenges, we have different pieces inside of that. If you're looking from like a cost perspective, our cheapest challenge is our 7-day challenge, which is $7. You can look at that at escapetoxicity.com. Gets you connected to a community and starts walking you through pieces of what we do and how to be able to move forward. How do I heal from a narcissist, and how do I maintain respect? Always have boundaries from a narcissist sibling. I live my own, making my own money, taking care of myself in order not to be near them, but they're family, so it's hard to have no contact. How can I live normally and be myself, even if they say bad things about me towards friends and family? Who will believe them? We have to help you heal and be able to disconnect from that person. So it could even be that you get to the place that you do go no contact. I know a lot of people that go no contact with their family members. Like, you can. Like, a lot of times people are like, well, blood is thicker than water, so I can't go no contact. No, you can actually choose you and stop letting people abuse you. So there's a big piece inside of it that sometimes people get very resistant of going no contact with family. Like it shouldn't be just like this privilege to abuse you, because that oftentimes is what happens. As someone who was raised by narcissists, I would say seeking counsel is vastly important to me. I was in danger of playing out the same patterns in my own relationships. Yeah, 100%. Like, you want to have insight and input, whether it's counseling, whether it's therapy, whether it's coaching. Like, that's why a lot of what we do is breaking generational trauma, generational patterns of people that have been in toxic relationships. Going to counseling to heal from narcissists. Sorry, I should have explained it. No, Erica, you're good. I would definitely encourage you to seek help from it. If that's counseling or that's therapy, perfect, go for it. I'd love to be able to talk to you and show you what we actually do. And the reason why is because I would say like almost 50% of the people that come to Raw Motivations oftentimes are coming from counseling or coming from therapy. Sometimes it's an addition, and sometimes it's simply because they didn't get the healing that they wanted inside of it. Because oftentimes the counselor, the therapist, is dealing with maybe a specific problem or specific issue, but not helping shift their entire life and helping rewire their mindset. I've seen too many people that come from a therapist that does not know how to help a person rewire their mindset, how to actually work through the subconscious reprogramming. That's the biggest thing. How to know if the person is immature or mature in the early stages of the relationship. How they handle conflict, how they handle hearing the word no. How do I get past the attachment and stop allowing him to trigger me and my emotions? He isn't satisfied until he gets a reaction, will not stop picking or pushing. So Shaniqua, the piece inside of it of him being able to trigger you, the only reason that he can trigger you is there's something underneath the surface that hasn't been healed, that has to be worked on to be able to be let go and release. So for instance, if you have brown hair and I accuse you of having orange hair, right? You'd be like, well, you're ridiculous because I don't have orange hair, right? The only reason that he can trigger you is because there's something underneath that believes it. If you believe you have orange hair, you're going to get triggered by it. So part of the triggers, at first I'll feel awful and feel the worst thing ever, right? But triggers are actually a hand that's like being like, hey, healing right here. Triggers are actually one of the most useful things in the healing process. Does it feel like that at the beginning? They feel awful, get that. But inside of the healing process, triggers are actually highlighting what is there, what's underneath the surface to actually heal. How do I know whatever critique a narcissist gives and considering worth listening to? Some critiques, I mean, I need to listen to help me grow, and some is not worth listening to. How do you know the difference? If they're toxic and abusive, I wouldn't listen to a word they say. Why do they make fun of people's belief in them? Shouldn't they be ashamed of their behaviors? I never encountered someone like that, so I tried patience in all the wrong place. A lot of times they'll make fun because they're controlling. How do you forgive one? Forgiveness is the mental and emotional release. Forgiveness is not a feeling. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is actually a transactional agreement of releasing the emotional hold. And I think that needs to happen with God, with Jesus. Like, it's really hard for someone to forgive without having a moral construct of God. He even lies to my family to make it seem like he's so innocent. I'm always the problem. He's going to do that. Can two narcissists have a healthy marriage? Depends on how you define healthy. Can two toxic people love each other while they're abusing each other? You tell me. Why do they always play the victim? It's easier to play the victim than it is own up to the honesty that he's hurting other people. But you're actually eating up that you're actually doing is so good because it takes one to know one kind of thing. So preach, brother. That was a little confusing. Why do narcissists lie even if they don't need to? By that time, it becomes habit and almost like a knee-jerk reaction. I love to hear from your wife sometime when she realized that what was wrong with you, and how does she deal with that? You actually can. You can go to not Real and Raw. That's another podcast. You can go to Trauma, Drama, and Life. That's our podcast. We're currently recording season 3. Season 1 and 2 is out. Yeah. Anyways, it's been 82 minutes. So We've answered a ton of different questions. Hopefully we've been able to answer a lot of your questions. It took me a while because I got behind for a good while. Going to be wrapping up for the night. If you're in the place that you're in a toxic relationship, you're confused about the toxic relationship, you're still stuck in the toxic relationship, you're out of the toxic relationship, and you're looking for a step-by-step process in healing, please reach out. When you go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, it's going to show you a video of what I do, walking you through the healing journey and the growth mindset, what Raw Motivations does for hundreds and hundreds of people. And inside of that process, it'll have you answer a couple questions, and it'll give you an opportunity to book a free call with me or to be able to step into one of our challenges. But inside of that, it offers you a step-by-step process. It offers you tools to actually deal with the triggers, deal with the trauma bond so it never affects you again, and allows you a way to actually permanently heal from this. I've worked with people for a long period of time in the healing process to help them actually be free. Some of the people that have worked with me the longest have been like 4 years. Why have they worked with me so long? Not because they're still dealing with narcissistic abuse, but because they've healed and now we're maximizing their growth, their new relationship, their new business, their focus on developing. That's because I don't think it's just right just to slap a Band-Aid on you and be like, you're healed. But instead, we provide systems and opportunities and training that actually are going to help impact your life and your world long-term. The self-care that you're actually looking for, the confidence that you feel is missing right now, the clarity that right now is being shrouded by all the fog that's in your life, all of that, if you show up and do the work, can be transformed, 100%. But inside this, it comes down to the next step for you, which right now, whether you decide to work with me or not, I would just ask you to do one thing. You've asked a lot of questions. You've been great just going through all this. I'd ask you to do just one single thing. And that's just go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Take some time just to watch the video. Off the top of my head, it's like 8-9 minute video, but it gives you a really clear idea of what I do. Healing journey, growth mindset. Highlights a couple of things that might be happening in your relationship that are keeping you stuck. And inside of this, like moving you forward, helping you see that there's a plan, there's a process that hundreds of other women have walked through to be free permanently. Breaking the trauma bond, eradicating the triggers, being the person that they actually want to be. But for the longest time, they haven't been able to. So inside of that, if anything inside of this live has pricked your heart, has resonated with you, that you see this is who you've been stuck with, like you've been stuck in this relationship, you've been the person who's been abused or manipulated or coerced or gaslighted, and you're still having this person stuck in your head, the rumination, the guilt, the frustration, please reach out. Go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, watch a short video, fill out a quick couple questions, book a free call with me so we can talk through your healing or jump inside one of our challenges. But either way, the next step is just for you to actually have a path forward inside the healing. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful night. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the care. And thank you just for being here. Look forward to talking with you. Look forward to working with you. You can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, and we'll talk soon. Y'all have a great and wonderful night. We'll see y'all next time.